Hey, what's up, guys? We're back here with the podcast, episode 3. We've been out for a while. My partner, Oscar, was sick
It
for
was
a few
my
weeks.
fault, man.
Yeah, it was kind of his fault. No, I'm just kidding. No, but he was sick, and then when he came back, it got better. He went on vacation. But we're back today. And hold on, real quick.
Yeah, I think it was really awesome to be able to share, at the beginning,
Yeah,
and then we had a very special guest, and then after that, man, like
the enemy
pre,
tried. The enemy took us away.
but we're
We tried
back. We're
to.
excited,
We're back.
We're coming back with the boom.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna see if we don't stop now. And today and then
Real
so
sponsorship right there.
Tierra Mia, sponsor us. Hopefully one day. But anyways, we're back with our second guest today. This man right here, he's new to the church. He's new to the ministry. You have about 2 months in, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 months in. His leader is actually Marcos, an amazing man, amazing gentleman. He's being led by a great man, but also by God for sure. We brought him on today because I feel like he's such new to the ministry, and I want this episode to really impact men, especially men who are struggling to surrender themselves to God and come to God. So one other way to bring a new man to the ministry, so he could give his insight and what we can do to bring you guys to God. So Nate, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you.
Um, so yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, bro.
Like
Yourself.
what do you guys? I guess my full name's Nathaniel, 22. Obviously new to CFF. But ever since I've been here, I just felt like home, welcomed. All the men. At first I was real like timid and holding back. And then everybody just slowly started coming up to me and introducing themselves, and it just made me feel welcome. Like, okay, I could be here. I could surrender myself not only to God but to like being discipled and led in that way that I think I've always wanted to be in that.
Right.
Every man wants to be deep down inside. So
And you're only 22, right?
yeah,
22 years old, and that's amazing, bro. You're young, brother. You're my brother's age, and I know my brother's really stubborn. He's very like, I tried bringing him to church, and I knew he told me after a while he said he wasn't ready. That to me kind of hurt me, but I feel like it's in God's timing. So like, my question would be to you is like, what makes you like unique? It's like what brought you to God.
um, honestly, a lot of heartbreak. I didn't grow up with my parents due to like addictions and stuff, and that led me down a path of not only hurting myself but hurting others,
Right.
those that cared for me. And I came to a point where that the generational curse, right, dealing with stuff that the people before me never dealt with. And I was like, man, I don't want that for if I ever have kids, which I do.
When
but
you have kids,
yeah,
bro,
there you
come
go.
on, God promised
Um,
it to you already.
You know,
bro.
I don't want to put them through that. I don't want them to feel the things I felt.
Right.
And yeah, that's the main reason right there.
Awesome. And when you first came to church, was it hard for you to transition from the world to ministry, or like you knew ministry was the thing you wanted to do?
I knew it was a thing I wanted to do. It's not like I'm a new believer. For as long as I can remember, I always believed there was a God, but my interpretation of him was different from what it actually is. But
Like you said earlier, right before we said that, a lot of men want to be led. And I read this book. It's called Kingdom Man by Tony Evans, Pastor Tony Evans. And one thing that always sticks with me is what he said. You can't. A woman wants a leader, but you can't lead a woman if you're not being led by Christ. And I feel like a lot of men now are scared, are making excuses to lead because they're not ready to take on that role, right? So my question would be is like, you being so young, do you feel like pressure of like being a disciple, or like, like how do you take being discipled by Marcos, for example?
you know, um,
Because I know, like for me,
Yeah.
like my leader George, right?
Yeah.
Like shout out to George again, my spiritual father. Coming out, it was hard for me to deal with authority. I never wanted like people like tell me what to do. The only man growing up that told me what to do was the complete opposite. Oh, wow, they're talking smack to you, talk back, or don't let any female hurt you. You know, they're gonna hurt you, hurt them back. That's how I grew up. You know, so when George came into my life, 7 months now, when he started rebuking me, discipling me, I was like, at first I was hurt. I'm like, and I was upset. I'm like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. You don't even know me, But then as I grew to Christ. I knew that George wanted the best for me, and the Holy Spirit humbled me through George, and now all I look forward to is going to George, being under his covering. I'm like, hey, George, I messed up today. Oh, hey, George, how can I be better? Oh, hey, like, what can I do to be a better man? And because I look up to George so much as a husband, as a leader. Everything he is like everything I was looking for 30 years. So it's like, my question is like, were you, being so new into, your walk with Christ, do you still find trouble like adapting to like leadership?
Yeah, but more on the aspect of having somebody there for you when you need somebody. So far, Marcos, I don't think he's rebuked me, and like that sense you're talking about.
It's coming, Marcos. It's coming, bro. It's
I'm
coming.
pretty sure
it's coming.
Yeah, he's taking notes. But I think when that time comes, I'm willing to, because I know it's him trying to put me on that right path and caring for me, even if I don't like it. But I know it's obviously going to be something I need.
Right.
But I don't mind, it's taking that.
And I think a lot of men now feel like their way is better than God's way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they don't want to be told what to do because they feel it's manly to rely on their own understanding, which is complete, excuse my language, but like BS. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's wrong. If you're not under the covering of Christ, what are you really doing with your life? That's my opinion. And I know, first episode when it was just me and Oscar, I remember being in the room with him and his wife. Karen was sharing something that he rebuked a disciple pretty harshly, and I'm like, well, whoever's heard of Oscar preached, it's pretty convicting. It's like anything that comes out of Oscar's mouth is like, you listen. So like, since you're a leader, Oscar, like, what would your advice be to like a new member of the ministry?
Well, in the Bible it says that God disciplines those who He loves, and I've taken discipline as or rebuke, like how we rebuke, but it's really discipline. Like you say something really really amazing that you didn't really have that, like, and so a lot of men are not used to being disciplined, but discipline shapes people. Like I discipline my kids because I love them, and because I want the best for them, and so it's like they're going on a path that if a word of discipline will take you in a direction where God wants you. And so that example we told you about one of my disciples, you know who you are, yeah, disciple,
we ain't saying names,
and I didn't think he was gonna come back, like honestly, like I told Karen, like I think I went too far,
It's never too far, bro.
But you know what? He told me, "Who do you think you are?" My dad doesn't even talk to me this way. And I told him, well, maybe if your dad talked to you that way, you wouldn't be the person you are right now.
Come on, Oscar.
And so I think as a father, who loves his children, I would rather my son say, my dad disciplined me, and I am the man who I am because of discipline, than say nobody ever told me I was in the wrong, Yeah. And so something beautiful what you're doing, it is that you called CFF home,
That's awesome.
You said you were welcome, and I love it because Pastor Pablo always says that. He says, "Welcome home." Like, I don't know if you've ever heard him, and so it's really amazing that you caught that. That you caught that. CFF for a lot of us is our home. That's where we go to visit the Father. And if you feel like at home, on Luke 15 it says that you said something super crazy because I was talking to you remember I was talking to you about I don't know if I told you, but Luke 15 it says that there's three types of people that are lost. The sheep that are lost, and they look for their shepherd, and they know that they're lost, but they don't know where to go. They're looking for their pastor, right? There's the other person who they just know that they're lost, but they don't know that they're lost. They're just lost out in the world, right? But there's some of us who know the word and are lost. You know, you say you're not a new believer. You know, what made CFF like? What can you tell us about when you went to church and you said this is my home? Like, what word spoke to you? I mean, I don't know if you could tell us about that, because some men are not even willing to listen, you know, so, or be taken to that place. So, what can you share to maybe a man that the intentions to go to church are there, but they haven't taken that action that you took, those steps to go into church?
You know, it was my first service at CFF. I'm not gonna sit here and say I remember the whole thing, but pastor was preaching about why does a man hurt so much. You know, that one thing that broke you, that really hurt you, and that led you down all these paths. And for me, I was like, whoa, like I didn't know this about myself. And and then another thing, it wasn't like a Sunday service. It was my encounter.
Oh, really?
The spirit of like rebellion and the lack of forgiveness and the orphan spirit. Those were a lot of things that I thought I dealt with, but I didn't really deal with, and that was exposed to me through all those talks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know, I didn't know I was still this hurt. I thought I was over a lot of these things, but I really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was still. It was more like I was just ignoring them instead of going head first and doing a bunch of like side steps to get around the root of the problem.
Yeah, I think a lot of men, like you said, hide, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and we hide behind so many things, you know, addiction, we hide over, you know, masculinity, the definition of what the world tells us. But, you know, like you said, that God exposed things, you know, like how did it feel to like have these things that were hurting you and now exposed, and having the answer in front of you, you know, as Jesus Christ, who could take all those things. Like, as a man, like what can you tell us? What made you take those steps and say, yeah, God, I'm gonna give you everything, or surrender to get that, you know, that salvation?
Just being tired of the same patterns, the same things going on, and the same feelings just coming back and going and coming back and going. It was like a tug of war, and I was just like, you know what, like this is it. I'm not gonna do this anymore. Why? There's nothing for me in that, and that was what's like. Okay, like my life is yours now. I don't want this.
And you know what I've noticed about you? I remember when I first met you, you wouldn't even say 2 words to me. You know, like you would even like firmly shake my hand. I pay attention to those things. You know, like just seeing I was at your encounter. I was serving. You know, and it was amazing seeing you at encounter, what God was doing to you. And I remember, you know, the Holy Spirit spoke to me, and I was right next to you, and I remember just speaking to you through the Holy Spirit, just telling you to relax and rest. And I just remember your body just being at rest, you know. And from that moment on, me and you developed a bond. And, you know, like, it's beautiful seeing your growth just in 2 months. From you being this man that's actually talking to people, who's smiling. I remember when I first saw you, you weren't smiling for nothing, bro. And just seeing your growth. But, and you know, a lot of men your age are still little boys. They still think, you know, you're 22, right? A lot of boys still think they're 15 years old, 16, 18. There's still some men my age who act like little boys, you know? So it's like, why do you think men your age don't want to give up the life they have now? I'm asking because you're so new. You're so new to that, right? You're new from coming to that. So why do you think a lot of those, I'm not going to say men because they're not, I'm being straight up. Yeah. These little boys don't want to give up that life.
You know, for me, I think, you know, I wouldn't party or anything like that, but I'd go out and have my fun. And I just think it's having that fun, that feeling of being out, doing whatever you want to do and not being held accountable for your actions. That's, you know, some people identify that with, okay, this is what's making me free. But it's not that's what's making you free, because I remember, you know, if I would be out late doing whatever I was doing, I'd go home and it just wouldn't feel like me. Like, I wouldn't be happy in that moment. It was fun laughing with your friends, doing whatever you're doing. But when it's just you, and when it was me laying in bed and just in my thoughts, I was like, man, like, this isn't me. I'm going to start going down that road that I never wanted to be going down, you know? So
I think also, like we said in the beginning of the podcast, not only do these men hide, but they're full of excuses. You know, I'm not gonna say any names, but there's a few guys, you know, who reached out to me who told me they're willing to give their life to God and they're ready to take that next step. I'm sure some of you guys are watching this, but you know, I wanna bring it up because it's such an important thing because like how willing are you willing to fight for your family, for your generations? It's like you can't come to me or like God and treat God like an option, you know? Like what I'm saying is these men have come up to me, have reached out to me, say, "Hey, I want to change my life. I'm an addict. I'm doing this and that." Okay, so what are you gonna do about it? Oh, I'm gonna go to cell group. Oh, I want to go with you to service. Cool. I'll see you. When that day comes, I don't get a text message. I don't get a call. They ignore me for 4 or 5 days, and then they hit me up the following week. Well, I hit them up. You know, I want to check up on them. You know, I don't want to be a jerk or anything. You know, and they tell me they're ashamed. I'm like, why are you ashamed, bro? It's like you don't know what I mean, they know what I've been through. I mean, they don't know what you've been through. A lot of guys, Jesus' disciples weren't perfect people. A lot of characters in the Bible weren't perfect characters. You know, Jesus sees you for who you are, not for what you were. So, like, all these excuses, like, would you make a lot of excuses growing up? Like, trying to avoid things?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I know Oscar, what he wanted to talk about today was about intentions. A lot of men have wrong intentions, you know? And I don't know, like, you want to touch on intentions?
Oh, you're next. I just so you know the reason why is because look I interview people for work all the time, right? And I've come to a point where you know like I rather see you know I could hear people's words, I could listen to people talk for a long time, but when their actions are louder than their words, that's when you see the you know their true intention. You know, like I remember I used to tell people, I hear what you're saying, but your actions are speaking so loud that I can't even hear anything you're saying. You know, like actions speak. You know, like when we see men that are saying, I want to be faithful to my wife. You know, but then do other things that lead them to places that where they shouldn't be. Like the intent is good, but the action is different. You know, and so I think for a lot of men, like we're not aware that intentions don't lead to anything, you know. I'm reading the book of Acts. I was sharing with you that I'm reading the books of Acts. The book of Acts is of that Acts of the Apostles. You see action in them, action that creates results that eventually change the whole, you know, our church. You know, so you took acts of faith. You know, you going to church for the first time and hearing the word that pastor shared with you. The reason why I spoke to you is because you were hurt and you were talking about hurt. So, and you could have like what you know what also said. You could have been hiding at home. So, I'm sure it was painful. What made you like continue? You know, like unpeeling that onion until you got to the core and you said, you know, this is what I needed all along. You know, like what? There's men who hear this and are checking out right now, you know. But what do you think is the one thing that you believe God spoke to you, said don't hide anymore, don't you know, like if you keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna get the same result. So you need to come out and it needs to be exposed. And what can you tell us about that?
What brought me to that decision was just the type of life I wanted, the type of wife I wanted. And me and Marcus were talking about this the other day, and he was
wives? What?
like, "Nah, yeah, I'm single." But he was like, "Okay, well, how are you gonna prepare yourself for that?" And I was like, "Okay, you know." But besides that, that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
Besides that, I have a godson, I have a little brother.
Oh, cool.
And so it's like, how are they gonna look at me? If I'm gonna continue doing the things I was doing, are they gonna want to be around me? Probably not. Are they gonna want to look up to me? Probably not. And then so I prayed about it, like, God, like, show me. And then he just started putting things in my head, like, be honest, keep your integrity, work hard, and then the big thing was give your life to me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. And then for a long time I struggled with it, because like I said earlier, I thought the world had better things for me. I thought I knew that what I was doing was fun, or because I didn't have no accountability.
Yeah. Well, you also said, that he always says, "Oh, you're a leader," but I think that all of us are leaders. Like you said, you have a set your brother.
Mm.
He will look at what you do, not of what you say. So
Mm.
you're leading. I think a lot of the men like escape the responsibility of leading, and your brother is gonna look at what you do when you go to church, how you come back, not of what you say. So,
Mm.
you know, like ultimately, what do you see yourself as a leader one day, leading, like also said, like who, what do you want to be like in this walk? Because you know that at the end of the day, it's leading somewhere,
Mhm.
and Marcos is an amazing leader.
Yeah.
So if you continue to listen to him, eventually you'll have what he has,
Yeah.
So do you dream about doing that one day?
Yeah, of course. I'm starting to see it now. One illustration I guess I could use is at work. You know, um, I'll get paired with the guy to show him, how to do this certain thing, and they'll listen. And then sometimes it'll be the opportunity to just talk about God, right? Just that like golden nugget, and I don't see it coming,
Right.
but they'll say something and then it'll catch my ear, and then I'll start just a little bit with what I know, right? And then they'll be like, oh, like I didn't know that,
Right.
and then I'll share with them some stuff that he's brought me out of, and they're like, wow, like, and I'll see it, and it's like, wow, like no matter what I say, nothing compares to like seeing that look on people's face and when I'm talking about God.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like it's like a
And
it's a crazy thing.
and for us who follow Christ, as men, even like women of the church, whoever follow Christ, we have such a big, I don't want to say a chip on our shoulder, but we have this huge thing on our shoulder because there's people in our family, people so close to us that want to see us fail, that want to see us trip up from a walk because they want to come back and say, I told you so. I told you this was going to happen. So like your family, how has your family responded to you coming to Christ?
Um, you know, my family is kind of that traditional Catholic.
Right.
So it's like, when I first started, I'm gonna be a Christian. They're like, well, being a Catholic is a Christian,
Yeah, I hear
right?
that too.
But then I was like, no, it's not. Like it's completely different. Like, first of all, even since I was a young kid, I was like, why are we praying to the Virgin Mary? Like, my understanding was Jesus. You pray to Jesus. And then they started saying, their defense, but I would just tune out at that point.
Right.
And then the big thing of that was I would see them contradict themselves, like and my closest family, and I'd be like, why would I try to follow you and what you're trying to tell me if you're not even doing it? And then
I just think like for me, because I like the same with you. I grew up in a Catholic. I went to a Catholic middle school. I went to a Catholic high school. I was all Catholic, but I wasn't. I mean, I was like a non-believer.
Yeah.
But I'm like, to me, it's like, how you gonna say you believe in God, but you mistreat people?
Yeah.
How you gonna believe in God and then smoke a bowl or drink a 12-pack or go to a bar right after?
Yeah.
How you gonna be a man of? How you gonna be a man or woman of faith if you're cheating on your spouse? It's like, to me, I feel like a lot of people want to justify themselves by going one day to church and say they're religious because they know they're so sinful. They feel like being at one day in church or being one day in service justifies their actions. Because I see a lot of people now, even on my Instagram or on social media, is like, I believe in God, I believe this. Okay, then why are you posting that you're smoking a bowl or like you're out in Vegas drinking like in strip clubs? Is like, or you're like talking down to people. It's like, how can you say that? And I'm not trying to be judgmental, but it's just like, when we're walking with Christ, we're held to a different standard because Christ wants us to be like him. And there's a reason why Christ died for us, because he was untouched by sin. And and we're, of course I was full of sin. Even now my thoughts sometimes, like I'm not perfect. Like even I still have anger. I hold it in. I'm not perfect, but I acknowledge my wrongs, and I take it to the cross. A lot of people I think misinterpret that, taking your cross every day. Like for me, what that means is dying to your flesh every day. Thinking about like what you're doing wrong every day and and like realizing you're doing wrong. To me, that's what taking your cross up every day means to me, because Christ, I mean, he never gave up. So why are we gonna give up every day? And with attention comes comfort. I feel a lot of people aren't intentional because they're comfortable. And I get the and I see this a lot. It's like both men and women. They talk about like all men, all women are the same. Sure, they are the same if you're in the same environment. It's like for a man and woman, like if they're at a bar or like they're in the world, right? And all they do is go to bars Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and they find a man or woman at a bar. Why is that person there at the bar? Most people at bars now are hurt, or going to cheat on their spouse or boyfriend and girlfriend, or they're looking for a one-night stand. So when people get into relationships because they're out in the world, it's not for, people are looking for things in the world because they're so broken and they're trying to find validation in things that are not valid. So of course when you say like every man or every woman's the same, they are, because you're in the same environment. You're not willing to take yourself out of that environment and realize that what you're doing is wrong. Yeah. So like intentions, why do you think a lot of men aren't intentional with their actions or like what they say?
That's a good one. Ask the question again so I could think more.
Yeah, come on, bro. No. But like, why do you think a lot of men shy away from being intentional? Like me, like I'll be outspoken. Yeah. I mean, it could get me in trouble. Yeah. If someone knows about it. But I could be very outspoken.
I think the main thing is pride, your ego. Like, oh, I'm a man. I'm gonna do things my way because I just know better. Because whatever it is, right? Whatever they had to deal with, and then they hide behind, maybe they were scared, so they could hide behind, I'm grown now, I don't have to be scared, or whatever the fact may be. But I think for me it was that, unfortunately I would wake up to, my dad hitting my mom, and that made me like, I tried to protect her the best I could, but I was little. Right. So once I got, obviously I'm not a small guy. I'm a pretty big guy.
Hey, chill.
No, but that was my thing. Like, I'm gonna not let anybody talk to me or disrespect anybody I care about.
Absolutely.
Because of that one thing of being hurt and not knowing how to deal with it the right way, and not having somebody to tell me, hey, like that's not how you deal with things. But looking at it now, like that was so wrong, because I just hurt. Like I said, I just hurt other people because of my pride and my ego, because that's like being very prideful. Yeah. Like, you're not hurting them. And like, how can I say this? It's like, right.
Say it, bro. I mean, we can filter out later, bro. We can edit it.
It's
later.
Like, for me, it was like, if I was with the girl, like I would never let nobody like disrespect, okay. But then that was like an excuse to enable me being.
Hey, bro, don't get me wrong. If somebody disrespecting my girl,
no, of course. Of course.
I'll try not to, but
yeah. But that, like I'm saying, that was an excuse to let my pride out, to let my ego out. Like, oh, you're not gonna disrespect me, but like I know now that it all went back to that one little, that not little thing, but that thing that hurt me, that trigger, right?
So it's like, okay, so we're both new from the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got 7 months with Christ, but I feel, because I was around a lot of toxic, I don't want to say, like guys, we would degrade women. We were never about intentional. I mean, I remember going into like, when we were talking to a girl, or like, when we're out, we were never, the only thing I was intentional about was trying to see how can I manipulate them, So I'm talking in that sense. It's like, a lot of men are never going to admit that, but why do you think a lot of men, like when it comes to being intentional about feelings, like genuine feelings, they skip around it and they want to get straight to the goal, of like finding the easy way of,
the wider road,
yeah. Damn, that's another good one.
Holy Spirit's talking, bro. Come on, bro.
Just again, that accountability, that not having to deal with your emotions, not having to deal with somebody else's emotions or put somebody else first, and not doing things the right way, the way God wanted us to do it, right?
Okay.
For me, that's what I think it is. Just just being rebellious, the rebellious nature that we all have, or that not everybody, but. You get what I'm saying?
So that comes to, I want to ask Oscar a question.
Okay. We're not even him, bro.
Hey, hold on, bro. But, because you've been walking with Christ.
A little bit.
Just relax, bro. Relax,
Take
relax.
it easy on me, bro. Come on.
No, but you've been walking with Christ for a while. You know,
Yeah.
you've seen men and women come and go.
Mostly
know?
men.
Yeah,
My wife deals with the women.
Well, I've seen a lot of men now though, like come
Yeah.
and gone. Just 7 months, I'm like
Yeah.
in and out, in and out. You know, what would your advice be to these men if right now whoever's watching right now is on the verge of quitting or falling? Like, what would your advice be right now?
Of quitting or falling?
Yeah. Like, okay, like what if your there's one of your disciples is watching this video, right? And right now they're like, dang, I'm gonna just tell Oscar I'm not coming back. You know, what words are you gonna tell him from preventing them from leaving?
You know, at the end of the day, you know, people are gonna do what they're gonna do. You know, I've seen a lot of men like not count the cost of what their actions are gonna bring. You know, like there's for every action there is a consequence. You know, and we decide what road to take. You know, it's a fork in the road all the time.
Right.
Every day there's a decision to be made. You know, I think going to church is a decision. You know,
Right.
you know, walking with Christ is a decision we make. I think you mentioned that you're a believer, right? Like you said, like a lot of people believe in a lot of things. I don't like to be called a believer, you know, because believers believe in something, but a disciple, a Christ follower, I would rather much be called a follower of Christ than a believer of Christ, because you see in the Bible, when we read the Bible, there was a lot of people who saw him, who believed in him, who saw him being crucified. They believed, but then they walked away, you know. But there was few people that followed him, and those were the disciples. And that's, you know, like they did what he did. They were called Christians for a reason, because they did what Christ did. You know, a believer would just believe, you know, but then they will go and believe in everything else, you know. So I think for the men that have been in my cell group, like they've come in a fork in the roads where they if I do this right now, I could lose everything. And I had a couple. You guys know he's still here. The only thing I could show them is like, if you do this, this is gonna be the consequence. Like, see 3 steps ahead before you act. I think the problem with men is that we act out of impulse, and we don't count the cost 3-4 steps ahead, and that's why sometimes we fall, and we have to repair instead of, like, you know, we have to repair situations. Right. Like we have to repair mistakes. You know, I always tell the men at my cell group, like a poor decision will cost you a year of repairing. Like, you have to repair that decision that you made, and it might have cost you 10 minutes, 5 minutes, you know, of something wrong you did, and then you have to ask for forgiveness for years, you know. But I think you know, the reason why we put this thing here is because of love, you know, like God loves us, you know, regardless of what we did. And so every one of these men that I've had an opportunity to lead, my role is to show them love, you know, not to condemn them, because Jesus didn't come to condemn the world, you know. Even 7 months, 3 months, one day in the house of the Lord is like an eternity, you know.
Absolutely.
And so don't downgrade the time you've been walking with God, because I think there's people that, like, let me put it to you this way, dude. Like, I met men that have been walking with God for 10 years, but every day is the same, and they just repeat it. It doesn't mean that the 10 years is worth more than 3 months. The 10 years is worth more than 7 months.
Yeah.
It's not worth the same if what you do is the same every day. And if you don't push yourself every single day past a certain point, it's just a habit. You know, like, I met people who don't get past like half of a devotional. You know, when you guys have done a devotional, an encounter, what else have you done? Cell group. What else have you done? This. You've done this. You
Come on,
know,
bro.
have more than 90% of the men at church haven't gotten past what you've gone through. So don't devalue 3 months. 3 months is just like we keep track of the time, but God doesn't. Like, so my man, like, they know if you fall, that's on you.
Hey, come
It's
on.
not on me.
That's right.
I show you the path, but it's up to you to walk it. And I think for us as leaders, it gives us a lot of freedom. Like, I was telling my wife, like, if your women don't listen, it's not because you're a bad leader. We have to do our job in leading people well and showing them actions that we've taken. But if they decide to fall, it's because they kept things in the dark, and they haven't been exposed. And all we can do is show them love,
Right.
like God showed us love. Because when I fall in, I could go to CFF and I could come back and I could I'm seeing something. I know that I'm coming back to a church that will open their hands, their arms to me. So I'm curious if you felt like that. If you could remember, like, you said you knew, you were a believer. When you went to church, like, most men don't go to church because they feel like that message that you heard, you think, oh, that's for me. They probably told them about my hurt, Like, what made you feel loved? What made you feel like, oh, I mean, God loves me, like,
My hugs.
what happened? Your
My
hug?
hugs.
Yeah, well, besides his hugs, what made you, like, say, like, feel loved in the midst of, like, that hurt? Like, because the reason why you come back, the reason why men come back is because we feel loved. So why did you feel loved? Like, what made you feel loved to come back, to go to, and Marcos gives good hugs too, bro. So,
May I? Nah.
So what made you feel loved? I don't know if you could talk about that. Guys don't like to talk about love, but we love to.
Um, the my first service after we all fellowshipped and we went to Canes, and I remember Hugo and Marcos, they didn't know me at the time, right? But they were just talking to me, and in my head I was like, what? These guys don't know the things I've done, right? They don't know where I come from and stuff like that. And then we just started talking, and then we started joking around, and I was like, whoa, like, this is how I joke around regardless of where I am.
Yeah.
It's just obviously a more cleaner version, filtered version, right? But there's that too, like, and then just everyone was like, oh, what's up, what's your name, like, and I said, like, welcome home, like you were saying, welcome home. And I was like, wow, this the first night, it was no doubt I wanted to keep coming back, because for so long, I would listen to, like, Stephen Furtick's sermons and Michael Todd, and these guys, their churches are so far. Where's there gonna be a church for me to go to?
Good.
And then I came to CFF, and I was like, oh, like, here it is, right? Like, that's what made me want to come back. That community and the love I felt.
Awesome.
And speaking of that, bro, it's funny you say Marcos is hugs. I don't know, this just got up to me, but the first man I hugged was Marcos. I remember, and me and Marcos had a moment at my encounter. He actually preached that encounter. But I remember me and Marcos, we had a moment at my encounter, and we cried for like 10 minutes in the room by ourselves, just together. And I think that was when I knew this was more than just a church. It was a brotherhood. It was when I played football in high school and in college, like, I had teammates. I thought that was a brotherhood. Yeah. But coming here and being with you guys, you're in our group chat for our devotionals.
Mm-hmm.
We hold each other accountable. Just being with you guys are the reason I don't quit. And the way I see it, it's eventually I'm gonna have my own cell group. I'm gonna have disciples, and though I say this all the time, but the reason why I do things is because how am I gonna ask my disciples to do things if I'm not doing them?
Yeah.
If I'm acting a certain way, how can I expect my disciples to act a certain way if I'm not acting that way? Yeah. And it comes with intention. You gotta lead with the intention of making disciples exactly how you want them to be, how God wants them to be. Yeah. And I feel a lot of men in the church now don't want that accountability from a leader because they feel it's too much. And I see it all the time. Like, I'll talk to some men of the church. I'm like, have you done your devotional today? How was your devotional, brother? oh, I'm still having trouble doing my devotional. I don't do that. Hey, when I first did my devotional, you can ask Claudio. My devotional was like 6 lines. You know, like I'm like, this is all I know. But then the more I got closer to God, it's like a diary. You know, it's just me and God. And you know, when I do my devotional, it's like I'm crying out to God. You know, it's like I just feel the love of God. Like so, like my question would be is like, because obviously, like our church, we have the G12 vision. You know, we're here to make disciples. We're here to win people for Jesus. Was that different for you? Like a devotional life, and you know, like our focus is obviously winning souls and making disciples, and so like, cause like, how was it for you when you first learned of a devotional?
You know, CFF wasn't my first time doing devotionals, right? Yeah. Um.
Yeah.
So no, I have some old ones I can show you. Not a lot. There's like 2 or 3, right? But my close friend, my best friend, and his wife. I'm real close with both of their families, and his wife's. I've known them since I was like what, like 13, 14, right? Before they even were husband and wife, before they were boyfriend and girlfriend. But I remember, you know, we'd hang out, and then her parents would tell me about God, and I think it was like 2020. Her mom was like, "You should do devotionals," and I was like, "What's a devotional?" And she's like, "Oh, you know, you just write what you take from the word and how it makes you feel and what you're getting out of it." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a try." So I started doing those, and I was like, "Wow, this is like I'm starting to receive out of this and what I'm really feeling." And then, you know, I just kept going into the patterns I went into, so of course that went away. And then when, you know, Marcos told me about devotionals, oh, I know how to do a devotional. Like,
cool.
you know, I've been doing them. Like, he didn't really.
Why are you bragging, bro? No.
But he didn't have to tell me how to do one because I knew how to do one.
Right.
So it's like now it's like I'm holding myself accountable because I know how to do them. It's like I don't need to. I shouldn't be need. First of all, I shouldn't be need to be told, hey, do your devotional, right? I shouldn't.
Hey, come on, bro.
You know, like
Hey, come on, bro.
like it's like, you know, nobody tells me, hey, you need to get up and go to work. I get up and go to work because I want to get paid at the end of the week. So it's like I'm not getting paid, but I am getting paid because it's healing me, right? It's
Right,
letting me receive. So there's that thing to devotion, and I love devotionals. Like, you know, I'll be having a bad day and I could.
Okay, some
you know,
devotional make me cry, bro.
And then it's like-
dang.
like, you know, I'll just be flipping through, and then there's that one line, like, oh man, there it is, right? Like, it just hits you.
So like, I want to get into, you know, Oscar's little specialty. You know, we're gonna go into his. I want to touch on finances, right? You know,
Go ahead.
just, you know, I'll be the first one to admit I was reckless with my spending. You know, when I was younger. You know, like for no reason. You know, I noticed that I would spend $1,000 in 2 days, and I'm like, okay, what did I buy? Uber Eats. No, I'm just kidding. No, but look, like I would buy like clothes, like I don't even
Yeah.
wear to this day. You know, so like now that I know coming to Christ and hearing Oscar preach about finances, financial freedom, has helped me with my finances and like really prioritize God first with my tithing. You know, tithing, I'm like, it took me a while to like get down. You know, but like finances, brother, like before coming to Christ, how reckless were you with spending? And I'm talking about this because a lot of people, they praise money. You know, they praise money. They worship money. They go after money.
No,
you know?
definitely.
They say they praise God, but I think they lack faith when they praise money more because they're obviously getting the money for the wrong reasons and they're using that money towards a negative way that's gonna hurt God's heart. So my thing is like, why? Like, how reckless were you with your finances?
To be completely honest, bro, I wasn't. You know, I wasn't reckless. I always told myself I can't go under this number, right? Because, you know, I just don't want to feel like I'm broke. But then I started realizing that's not it shouldn't be. I don't want to be broke. You know, there's gonna be obviously there might be times where I am broke. So now it's like, you know, I make it a priority to save, right? You have to save, but then it's like, you know, God blessed me with an amazing job. I'm getting paid good, and it's like, you know, if I'm not giving back to you or people in need, then what am I doing it for? and that's like being selfish and greedy if I'm just doing it for myself. And it is definitely, that's a hard thing to do, seeing, you know, whatever amount leave your bank account. It's, you know, for me it's hard, but then I'm like, no, like this is for the right reasons. And it's not about, like, for me it's not about getting something in return. It's just, you know, helping somebody that's really in need and that needs it more than I do, because I have more than enough, right? I don't need all this crazy stuff. I've never been like that, right? So that's what it is for me, you know, just.
And you know, it says money is the root of evil.
Yeah.
You know, I think I shared with you first because I was actually trying to look for a job with Oscar. So I want to share one of my testimonies if that's cool, Oscar. Oscar's he's probably one of he's probably the only one that really knows. But I was a law enforcement officer for 8 years, and you know, after my encounter, I was out of I was out on workers' compensation, you know, and I was supposed to report back to work the week after encounter. One, I already knew that was the enemy because, you know, I knew how dark. I worked in the prisons, so I already know how dark it was. And, you know, I got a word from God not to go back, you know, and I'm thinking, like, but no, I get paid good. I have the benefits. Like, no, God, like, are you sure you want me to leave? This is a temporary feeling? And I remember talking to George and Janet, and, you know, Janet, my spiritual mother, she was like, also, I don't think you should go back. And I'm like, I'll pray for it because that's all I know. You know, I got in when I was 21, bro. You know, that's all I knew as, you know, as a young man is like how to tackle fools, how to arrest guys, you know, fight. That's all I knew. So I was like, what am I going to do, you know? But, you know, I was willing because, you know, like I always say to my devotion, I'm not going to move until God tells me to move. I'm not going to take action until God tells me to take action. And, you know, so make it short, God told me to leave corrections. And I did. You know, I left that behind me. And I was, you know, for mid of March and April, I wasn't getting paid. I had $0 in my bank account. And, you know, that was the first time, and I shared with Oscar in like 7-8 years, I had no money, you know. And I remember just asking God, I'm like, all right, God, you told me to leave corrections. Like, what are you going to give me, you know? And, like, you know, the end of March came, I didn't have a job. I had $0 in my bank account. It got so bad, I started asking my mother for money. And as a man, that took a hit on me because, like, I did good for like 8 years. Like, hey, I was making good money and, you know. So in that moment, I got weak and I almost like, you know what? I'm going to go back to corrections because this ain't doing it for me. And, you know, God convicted me. He's like, you know, I was praying right before bed. And he told me I have something much greater for you. And, you know, I went all of April, bro, no job again. You know, that's when I reached out to Oscar. I think it was like the second week of April. I'm like, hey, can you help me out with the job? And I mean, reasons didn't happen. But, you know, what I'm trying to say is God's got to answer you. But maybe not when you want to. But when he needs, like when it's perfect timing. So I was willing to leave because God told me to leave, and I have a job now. I took a pay cut, and obviously it's not where I'm supposed to be there because God wants me to be there. But that's not where I'm going to be forever. You know, God put me here in this spot, but he provided still. When I had no money, he provided me with the job when I needed money the most. Dude, it was about to be 2 months I didn't pay for my car. You know, I was almost going to get repoed, bro. You know, so it's like, right?
Waiting outside,
I was
like,
waiting. Hey, I was going to jump on that car with that tow truck, you know, but, God provided when I was lacking faith. You know, I think when people start to lack faith a little, they get scared and they leave. You know, and my favorite story in the book in the Bible is the story of Caleb and Joshua when, you know, facing their giants. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Moses he sent these spies out to go look for the promised land, and Caleb and Joshua were part of them. You know, so they went to go look, and the promised land. And some of these spies, you know, they saw the promised land. They were full of giants, and some of these spies, they came back to Moses and said, "Oh, we can't go there." And Moses was like, why? Oh, well, there's giants. You know, there's people bigger than us. They're going to crush us. And Caleb and Joshua were like, nah, why? God already promised us that land. Let's go fight them. We're going to win because God's on our side, you know? So to me, it's like, no matter what giant we face in life, God already gave us victory. You know, all we got to do is declare it, you know? And facing your giants is just an obstacle. Nothing's impossible with God, you know? Like, you know, God's done so much in my life, and I'm so grateful to God that I'm willing to do anything He asks of me. Like if he tells me tonight, hey, I need you to quit Home Depot, my job, I'm gonna quit because I know He's gonna provide. It might not be right away, and I might struggle. I might live off the dollar menu for a minute, but I'm willing to do what God asks of me. And I think a lot of men are afraid of doing that because one, they have chaos in their life. They don't know how to handle situations. They're full of excuses. They're scared, and they're not really men.
Yeah.
So, for me to tell you is like, when you're facing your giants, what's the first thing you turn to? Oh, let me ask. When you were in the world, when you were facing your giants, what would you turn to for comfort?
Anything I could. Anything I could. It'd be going out. It'd be women. Anything I could to get my mind off of that reason, off of facing. But yeah, it'd just be anything, making money, working more.
I think money was my thing too, bro. It's like, okay, like, I don't know, Oscar, like, what do you think, brother? It's like, why do you think a lot of people chase money, bro? This is your forte, bro. Come on.
I think because it's a distraction, like it's a distraction. Like God, we have we are made in the image of God, and God is a provider. And he we are, as men, are called to be providers. Financial providers to our homes, and I think because a lot of us are used to have that quality of providing all the time, that we could dethrone God by thinking that we're the ones providing. So whenever the way I seen it is like, look, when I was just the reason I think Way also asked me, and when Janet and George, led him to ask me for counsel, and that is because they have seen that I dethrone God with money. Like I don't know if you could like picture what I'm telling you, but when I see a lot of men thinking I need to get this job, and once I get this job, then I could serve God. They offer me this job. So many times we'll see it, and you will see it eventually in ministry. I have this job, but it's working on Fridays, like from 7:30 p.m. to like 1 in the morning, and then they are quick. Men are quick in need of leaving the house that fed them of God and chase of money. And that's a strategy from the enemy. The strategy of the enemy is to distract you, and sometimes if we hold money to a standard higher than God, we will 100% go and chase money before chasing God. That's what happened to me. Like, I left my family, bro. Like, I know I told you, like, I'll tell you, Nate, the people who are watching, when, this house, God gave us this home, and it's your home, it's It's CFF2. We call it CFF2. There's a campus of CFF. So when I came to Christ, we already had this home. To be honest with you, like, I didn't even qualify for a loan when we got this home. One of Karen's cousins, God bless his soul, he co-signed for us, in a time when people never co-signed for anything. This man came, and the grace of God, he co-signed so we could have a home. And there's a time where I lost my job, and in that desperation of providing for my family, a man came and told me, I'll pay you this much money if you leave your family, if you go to Mexico. He offered me what I was getting paid at my regular job and promised me more money. And I was very quick to leave. I didn't even ask my wife. I didn't even counsel with pastors or with my leader at the time. I just left. I left, dude. And that decision brought months, years of discipline from God. And it was that one decision that like I knew I had done wrong. And the years that followed after, they're 3 years. 3 years of deserts. I would lose jobs because I dethroned my provider like God as my provider, and I thought I was the provider of my home, you know. And so because of that one mistake, dude, like if a man of God would have came to me and told me, warning, God is your provider, right? You know, trust in God as a provider. I would have like, I don't think I would have had all that heartache, you know. But I think to answer your question, also is that, you know, man, we have that ability to provide. Is a God given ability to provide it for your family. That's why you think like, oh, I'll figure it out. I'll get another job. That's the quality of providing that God gives you. Now, when I understood that God is my provider and I trust in Him first before trusting in my ability to find a job and provide for myself, that's when everything changed. Like everything changed. You could ask my wife. You know, I took a pay cut like you took a pay cut. You know, and I knew that it was for a season, and I was asking God, God, what do you want to show me during this season? How can I give you glory? And I think there was times when we almost lost this home, but God protected it. God God took us out of that hole, and dude, like that's a whole testimony for you know, for God. But I think for you, like what do you think is you said, you know, like you know, you find a job right away, you know, like have you has it been hard for you to say like, God, in this area of finances, I think a lot of men have a hard time giving their finances to God because they think like I'm mighty, you know, like I could go find a job like this, I'll get a car, like, you know, has that been easy for you, that transition of being like, you know, like, God, you provide for me, or like radically, like also did, also was like, I'm gonna quit my job, bro, and I'm like, whoa, 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 like, you know, like, I don't want to tell you to do it. If you want to do it, you know, you do it. But he did it, dude, and God like honored him, you know. So I don't know. Have you gotten
Hey,
to
we're
that
not telling
point?
you to quit your job,
Have
bro.
you gotten to that point? I don't know. Maybe God
Um,
one day, you know. But we're just preparing you,
Yeah,
bro.
bro.
uh,
You ain't alone, bro. You know what I'm saying?
that's funny. You
We'll
guys
back you
are.
up.
That's funny. You guys are telling me this because I have one of my foremans at work. He's a Christian, and he says, "Would you, if God tells him to move, he'll move." And I was thinking, God, like I like my job. I love what I do, and I could grow so much in this. But I can't say what I would do if he put that in my heart to leave. But what I can say is I'm so grateful and thankful for him blessing me with this job because, you know, when the pandemic, right, first happened, I wasn't working for 6 months, and eventually I was like, man, God, if you put me back to this job, you could have it all. And
Dangerous prayer.
hey, and he did it. He did give it to me, and now I'm saying like, one of the things I prayed for was God, like provide me with the money so I could take care of people that, you know, like my mom and my siblings and people that need me to take care of them, and he's answered all those prayers, and now finding when it's time to pull that money out, I'm like, man, like, do I really want to? And then I have to correct myself. No, like, fool, this is what you prayed for. Like,
Yeah.
stop being so stubborn, right? And trying to do things your way. And
I think that I think when you know that He has given you all,
mm,
then it's a lot easier for you to give Him back what's
mm,
His, you know. But I think it's when we think that we got all that paycheck with our labor,
mm,
then it's hard, you know, to give. But when you know, it's like, you gave me this, like, what fool would I be if I don't give? Like, the math is simple, bro. Like, he gives us 90 and he only asks for 10.
mm,
I ain't no fool. If it was the other way around, if it would say you give me 90 and it will still be fair because he gave you all and you keep 10, then, you know, how hard will that be? You know, I ask myself because sometimes it's like 10%. Like, I remember when the amounts were small, bro. When the amounts were so small that even 10% will hurt. You know, like, it's like $100 like every other week. Oh man, that's a lot, you know? Especially when you have to choose between paying the house or giving
mm,
10%, you know? But man, like, it got so crazy, and I showed it to also those few people that we shared the testimony. Like, because we were faithful within those moments that sometimes like we didn't even have money to eat, but we gave our tithe, you know. And no lie, my wife will tell you, and those were one of the most beautiful moments in our walk. They didn't seem that beautiful at that moment, but all we had was each other. But like fast forward 3 years after, like to see what God did because we were faithful, and to give God almost as much monthly of what our mortgage is like unreal, like unreal, dude. And you think like, God, why would you bless me with this? And the only reason why is because we give Him the honor, you know. And if you give, tell like with the intention, I'm gonna give God the glory for what I give, for what I do, then dude, like he'll open up the gates, you know. And we seen it happen, bro. Like we ain't bragging, but we're giving him the glory. But like I remember when I shared with also, and he was like, bro, that's unreal, remember? And I have evidence, bro, like evidence. And anytime we tell people, they're like, bro, you're lying, dude. But no, dude, it's like it's crazy what God does, you know, through these through through this. Whatever He wants to teach you is for a purpose, for somebody, you know. So.
And I want to piggyback off that. A lot of Christians now in the world, especially a lot of newer Christians, don't realize how easy we have it. When you read the Old Testament, they were killing rams, bulls. God was literally asking for you to sacrifice a bull, a ram, and just to honor Him, and He's only asking us to give Him 10% of what we could give Him, and a lot of people don't realize that, take that for granted. I remember coming, I'm guilty of it. My first month at CFF, my first actually 3 months, I wasn't giving a tithing because I was like, where's this money? I'm guilty, where's this money going to, but that's my word, the enemy telling me, like, I don't care where it goes to, it's for God, and I've come to grow is just like, God already promised me a family. He already promised me a career, How long is it going to take? I don't know, but I know it's coming. And I'm not afraid how long it's going to take because, as long as I keep walking with them, I know it's going to come. The way I see it, every day that passes, I'm getting closer to that promise, So, like, so how can I ask you this question without being... Oh, I got to reword it because we have guests, so I got to be careful. But, so let's go to a different route. What's been your favorite thing about CFF?
My favorite thing about
or about walking with Christ?
Oh, just just being so like happy even when I have bad days. I know,
bro. I see you smiling all the time now, bro. Come on, bro.
That's just happy. The happiness because I know that now I'm free because of me giving it all to Jesus and being transparent with my leader. Amen. And then having that. Yeah. Those talks with him and just him telling me exactly what I need to hear. And just last week I called Marcos and he didn't even need to give me any like advice or anything. It just felt good to tell him what I was thinking and like confirm a lot what I was thinking and what I thought I needed to do.
Right.
And it's just that being free of not having to hide behind anything.
Amen.
It's what's really making me happy because now I could be like it feels good to be held accountable in a certain way, right? Like, okay, this is what I need to do to get to where I want to be. And like you said, I don't know when the things I want are going to happen, but I know they will.
Can I ask you a question? No, keep the mic.
It depends, bro.
Like, look, the reason I'm gonna ask you this is because he fought for you, bro. He was like, Nathan, he second guess. We had people lined up. He's like, nah, you remember, you know.
Yeah.
And so what did you see in Nathan that you like? What did you see in him that like as a mirror of you? Because I think a lot of us see a little bit of us and other people, and like you said, like you saw him through encounter, you guys had a little moment, like a bro moment, so like what did you see in him? What do you think, like words of encouragement for his walk, like in what he's doing?
When I first met him, it's gonna sound a little strange, but I'm just being completely honest. When I saw his eyes, when he was first coming to church, whatever I saw in his eyes, it wasn't who he is now. But whatever I saw in his eyes was, I felt like I saw my old life in his eyes. You know, I saw the hurt, I saw the pain. You know, like he wasn't this smiley. You know, like I remember him when Marcos would introduce him, he was always like, "Hey, what's up, man?" That's all he would say. You know, he would even like talk. You know, but I knew that wasn't him. Like it was like the spitting image of me. You know, I mean, I was always friendly, but I didn't really want to talk to people. Like, there's people in my cell group now. Like, you know, I think you would like. It took me a while to like hang around with church or stay around. I would as soon as service ended or cell group ended, I was the first one out because I didn't want any to deal with anybody. So what I saw in you was purpose, because I saw myself in you. The pain that I feel like whatever the enemy was latching onto you, he was trying to get me back. You know, he was trying to like hit me. So at Encounter, I took it personal to be there for you, because I wasn't gonna let the enemy win and take me back, but take you. And you know, and after Encounter, just seeing your eyes and you know, just embracing you after Encounter, I'm like, yeah, that's Nathan. You know, I'm like, that's the guy I fought for. You know, and you're not even my disciple. You know, I just like I knew there was greatness in you from the moment I met you, because I looked into your eyes. And, you know, like I told my leaders this, but I had a testimony at the market, right? I want to go get food for my dad, you know, and I was in line, and there was this gentleman in front of me, because I used to go to the market at 7, 8 in the morning to get like those Bud Ice, those 40s. I get like 7 of them, you know, at 8 in the morning, and it was a Vallarta market. I always remember it was Vallarta market. Same thing. I would go to Vallarta market, get the beer at 8 in the morning, bro. And you know, this man he was a kid. He looked like 20, like very young. And I was on the phone with my brother, and the Holy Spirit said, "Hang up the phone." So I hung up the phone, and the kid, I remember he had a hoodie on, and he had his head down the whole time. And you know, I was just looking at him, and he was next to pay. And you know, they were charging the beer, and you know, he was about to pay, and this was not me. I know this was God, but I went up to him, like, "Hey, bro, like that's not you. You don't need that." And he looked at me, and he put his hoodie down, and he just walked out the store without the beer. You know, and I knew like to me, like you don't know that. I mean, you know, like in the group chat, I like to hype you guys up. Like helping men is so personal, and to me, and it means so much to me, because no one was there for me when I was struggling. You know, the times I was doing dope, when I was getting drunk, no one was there for me. You know, and I know we all need that somebody. We all want, as men, we want someone to lead us. We want someone to help us and guide us. And I didn't have that. And now that I see my vision clear and I see God working in me, that's my purpose, is to help you. I don't care how long it's going to take, but we're going to get this together. You know, you're never alone. So that, you know, that's what I saw was, you know, this man like me.
And like, how does that make you feel, dude? Like, you know, like for somebody that fought for you.
And I've never met him in my life, but you know.
You know, I didn't know this. It feels good because I think the main reason I would always hold back and starting new relationships with men, right? Being friends with men. Of course, I have my friends from my high school, but like an older, like, you know, someone older than me, it was because, you know, my experiences with my dad and stuff like that. Because, you know, he would be like, he'd be locked up, and then he'd send those letters. I want to change. I want to be your dad. I want to be good to you and your brothers and sisters. And then, you know, he'd get released or whatever. And then, you know, a couple months go by and it's going good. I see the change, and then boom, I don't hear from him for months. And it's those same letters. And then I remember I was 13, and my first letter came saying like, you need to be the man for your brothers and sisters. It made me mad. It made me every single emotion except for the good ones, right? The happy ones, the joyful ones. Because I don't know how am I gonna be a man? I don't have a job. I don't know how to be a man. And I was like, you know, I remember telling myself like, I'll never be able to have to look up to another man because of this. And like you fighting for him is like, whoa, I've never had that. I've never had, like you were saying earlier, intention. It was the intention, but like you getting those actions, it's like, whoa, you know. And I see that with you. I see that with Marco. Even, you know, JC. Me and JC have had a little conversations, and it's like, whoa, like I never expected someone to tell me these things, right? Like even last Friday, he was like, oh, like we were talking about a certain situation. He's like, oh, that's good. That means your heart is healthy. And I was like, whoa, I wouldn't take it like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like every man that I've met has been the same. Like they've proven it with their actions, not because of their telling me things. And it makes me feel like I'm home, right? Like
You are home,
yeah.
bro. You're one of ours. You're a little brother, you know.
Yeah, I think out in the world, you know, like our homies, you know, I grew up in East LA, and my homies were always like, "Oh yeah, bro, I'm down. You know, I'm down for my this. I'm down for my this
Down
and
for the
that."
cause, bro.
You know, and but the moment, like, you know, like the rubber met the road, and we're about to get in trouble, everybody's out. You know, and like. And it's like you said, you know, like I never been in an environment where, other than a church, and this I grew up as a Catholic too, and a Catholic, as soon as the priest starts, you know, says, you know, everybody's out, bro. Like it's like I will see like ants, you know, fleeing, you know, everybody goes quick, you know, and to see men like you know like also fight, you know, like. Dude, when we would I love in Canada. Remember when I told them, dude, we're having fun, bro. Like, you know, like we're here casting demons, you know, those have been one of the best experiences. I remember when we went to encounter with also, where we were like, he's like, dude, we're having fun, bro. Like those were the funnest things because we were fighting for man, you know, and like, you know, like John Maxwell says each of us needs all of us needs each of us needs all of us, right? One of us needs all of us, something like that. I'll figure it out. But there's gonna come a time in your walk when you're gonna fight for somebody, you know, like that, like also like Marcos, like JC, you know. These are men that are really down, you know, but they're down for Jesus. You know, that's something
Always.
completely different, dude. It's like I never seen nothing like this, bro. Like it's crazy. Like how do you explain that to somebody? How do you share that with to one of your homies? You know, like how would you do that? Like how do you describe like, dude, these men are down. You know, like they're really down. Like we can't, you know. And I think the only way we know how is like with our actions, like JC, like I know you could call Marcos at 3 o'clock in the morning and he'll pick up, you know. You better pick up.
Hey, George would be mad if I called him, but he'll
You know,
answer.
but how walk knowing that that's ahead of you, like how confident will you walk? How confident will you take the next step? Like I think like I don't know if you could catch that, but knowing that you have somebody ahead of you that's always gonna be there with you, he wants to connect. How confident will you take the next step? Like, how does that make you feel? Like because when you were saying your dad asked you to be that man, and nobody showed you, but right here we're telling you go and be that man of God, but we're gonna show you the way. How easy is it for you to know that somebody's gonna be there for you? And it's not only gonna be Marcos. It's not only gonna be like JC or also. It's not only gonna be Pastor. You know, it's gonna be me. Everybody who's there. You know, how confident are you in taking the next step? You know, for your walk.
Oh, you can take both.
I think I'd be really confident knowing, but I'd also think that I would gain even more confidence by really like diving into the word, right, and really, you know, doing my.
Sorry, bro. I'm looking at this right here. I don't know what it is.
And really like, you know, just spending time with God and being intimate with Him and asking Him for that guidance, right?
Yeah, we'll put that in there.
But yeah, I'd be real confident. Even like in the world, I was always, you know, hey, we're gonna go do this. We need you, right? We're gonna go handle this, and I'd be like, let's go do it, right? Yeah. So why? It's like when Pastor was saying, it's easy for people that sanctified themselves for the wrong reasons to transition and sanctify themselves in Jesus. And then that really spoke to me because like that's so true. Because how can I not be down for the one who gave me all when I was once
Hey,
down
come
for
on.
people that gave me nothing? So it's like, it would be like I'd be a fool.
All right.
So that's like an easy. Let's do it.
Bro,
That's
and
awesome.
it's funny you say that because I always like to say this. Like, to get drunk, to get high, to get like a good feeling, I would do anything possible I can. Shoot, I would go to credit unions, take out loans just to have money. I would steal from my sister, mother. I'm not proud to say it, but that's the extent I would go to feed my addictions. You know, like whatever it took. So like now with my walk with Christ, if I gave those things everything, oh, I'm absolutely gonna give Jesus everything. You know, because He deserves that for me. If I gave the drugs and alcohol and the women back in the day, like everything I had, why can't I give the one who saved me everything?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men have one foot in, one foot out because they're still cowards and don't want to give their life to Christ because they're not ready to accept their blessing.
Yeah.
So like the final words is like, I want to wrap it up, but like your final words, the final words, we're each gonna give a final word, but whoever's watching right now, whoever wants to come to church, whoever wants to be, who's ready to turn their life around, what advice would you give them? Like, what are you going to tell that person, that next disciple?
I would say just don't go off of your feelings. Just obviously pray about it. And like when Pastor Miguel came and gave his
That was
word,
fire.
just ready or not, here we go. You got to take that step of faith. You can't think of like, oh, who's gonna like me? Who am I gonna meet? You just because at the end of the day, it's not about that, right? It's about you and God. So I think if He's really pulling and tugging at you, then just do it. Like there shouldn't be any thoughts, right?
Absolutely.
There should just be action, and just go all in for it. Like you can't. I like how Marcos gave a message in cell group about being. It's either two options: you run to God or you run away from Him.
Mm.
So and there's no in between, right? So that's what like if you're gonna do it, do it. Don't don't just I'm gonna do it, but then I'm only gonna do it on this day,
Right.
like every day. And that's what I would just say, like just go, like get in your car and drive, like
Yeah.
just that's what I would say.
Final words, Oscar.
Yeah.
Come on, Oscar.
I would say that God loves you. Like God's grace is unlike anything I've seen. And no matter what we did, how much we failed, how much how much hurt there was in us, how much people hurt us. I think um, I could always go back to the time when I didn't want to go to church. Like I was hiding. And it was that hurt, that disappointment, everything the enemy was reminding me of what I was not, that was keeping me away from church. And so I would just say, if there's anybody in there that you're still listening to the lies of the enemy, like, and you think those mountains are so high that or those giants are so big, like, just know that God loves you. God wants, like, God never used the perfect person in the Bible. And your imperfection will be perfect when you are close to God. And it will glorify Him, and it will be an amazing story to tell. Like, I think everybody has an amazing testimony. And I used to think that I didn't have a testimony until I got close to God. And I realized how much how 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 many different testimonies I have. The enemy told me, dude, like, you're good, like, you this, you that. And then I was like, what testimony am I gonna tell? Like, but God has shown me that in the right moment, like, your story will shape somebody's life. And God is waiting for you just to go and show up, like you said, and be brave, take those steps of faith into church, and God will do the rest. And so, just like He's done it with you, dude. Like, it's awesome to hear, how willing you are to listen to boys of counsel and to change. It's really amazing, dude. I can't wait, to see what God is gonna do in your life, dude. Because it's awesome, and it's awesome to see it. So, but yeah, dude. Like, and also is gonna finish it off because he's he's been waiting 3 weeks. So
No, but what I want to say to you guys, whoever's watching and struggling with one foot in, one foot out, or having these doubts, it's I was never ready. I never felt ready. I didn't feel worthy. Even to this day, sometimes I still ask God, like, why me? Like, why'd you choose me? There's never that perfect moment, but it's never, when you give your life to Christ, it's no longer about you. It's about your kids, their kids. It's about your blessing. It's about your purpose. God gave you a blessing and a purpose in the womb. What you did with it growing up was on you, but you can always get it back. And God's waiting for you. He has his arms open for you, and come home. And there's never a perfect time. Just come. Come to this family. We have amazing men, amazing women of the church, and there's never a perfect time. Come claim your blessing. Come claim your victory. Come home. The world's not for you. And if you're hurting, you're not alone. If you're a drug addict, alcoholic, you're not alone. If you're struggling with financials or any addiction, you're not alone. Don't ever be ashamed of who you are, what you are. Let's bring you back. Like, we'll bring you back home. We've all dealt with something. Us three here, we all have different testimonies. Just don't be ashamed of what you did, because you had to do what you did, and you had to go what you had to go through so you could come back to Jesus. Jesus put you on that road for a reason. He allowed things to happen to you so you could grow. Remember that. Don't ever be ashamed of what you went through. But we're gonna wrap that up. Thanks, Nate, for coming on here, brother. It was a great episode 3. But you want to say any last words before we log off? I know he's still shy, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I am still shy, but thank you guys.
But
for having me and welcoming me. It means a lot.
Absolutely. But quick, cell group Wednesdays for Oscar. Whoever messaging him out. That's right. You guys have cell group on Thursdays, right?
Thursdays in City of Industry.
I have cell group on Thursdays with George. And there, I see a few females. If you guys are looking for a cell group, I know somebody. I'll tag her on the message. But thank you for tuning in, guys. Later.